Handcuffs. A broken watch ticking at 0. Stolen valor, they sneer, dragging her in. Then an admiral leans close, eyes ice calm. That tattoo is genuine. The room freezes. The lie isn't hers, and the people who want her silent are already here. The night shift made everything look thinner, figures, smiles, alibis. Sarah liked it that way. She poured coffee, counted tips, and kept her back to the wall. She lived by exits. She lived by silence. Her watch had stopped months ago. The face was cracked into a spiderweb of white lines. She wore it anyway. It kept no time, but it kept her grounded. A broken compass for a life you had to feel forward. The bass down the road breathed in waves. Rotors and boots. Laughter too tired to last. She knew the rhythm. She timed her refills to patrols without meaning to. Old habits. They find a way. That night, the bell over the diner door stuttered and a gust of cold slid in. 3 uniforms. 1 civilian with a jaw made for orders. They sat, they said little. Their eyes swept the corners and came back to her. Not in hunger, in recognition. When she reached up for the pie, her collar shifted. The ink showed. Only a sliver. Dark lines. A small trident nested in negative space. Names woven into the barbs if you knew where to look. If you knew what you were looking at. She felt the stare hit like a pebble. One of the men looked away too late. She put down the plates. She put down the smile. They didn't make a scene. They paid. Then the civilian stayed behind. "Ma'am," he said, soft and wrong. "Can we ask you a few questions?" She saw the empty wallet under the counter, the one she kept for show. 2 ones and a limp loyalty card. That wallet was useful. It told a story about a waitress who never had more than she needed. It told whoever might be watching that she was small and safe. "I'm working," she said. He nodded. He was polite. The worst kind. "We'll wait," they did. Outside, the dusty road along the freeway pulled the headlights into a long silver thread. The wind lifted grit and let it go in the floodlights. Everything in motion, except the watch on her wrist. Closing time hit. The neon buzzed down. Jim, the owner, locked the back with his shoulder against the door, like the old wood had teeth. "You okay, kid?" he asked. She said yes. She meant no, he knew. He left the question in the air, like steam. They were gentle with the cuffs. "We got a call," the civilian said. "Possible impersonation. We have to check." "Happens a lot." He didn't smile. "That helped. What did I impersonate?" she asked, and her mouth tasted like copper. "A seal," he said. They placed her in a vinyl chair in a room with no clock. She looked at the mirror. She looked at herself looking at someone else. They asked for a statement. She gave her name. The one the utilities knew. The one on her bus pass. She didn't offer more. She didn't lie. She didn't know where the truth would land if she tossed it. A door opened. Another man entered, younger, careful eyes. He carried an emptiness around him like a quiet apology. He had seen her reach. He had seen the ink. He knew enough to be dangerous and too little to save her. "You know what that is?" she asked before he spoke. He flicked his gaze to the corner of the mirror to whoever was behind it. "I think so," he said. The older civilian, the jaw, pushed a form across the table. "Tell us where you got the tattoo," he said. "Tell us who did it. Spring break?" The young one muttered, trying to make it light. It didn't lift. She set her broken watch on the form. The glass was cold. "This doesn't tick," she said. "Neither do I." The door opened again. A woman in dress blues walked in, and the air in the room straightened its spine. Silver hair pulled tight. Eyes that had forgotten how to blink when the truth was near. She didn't take a seat. She leaned. The shoulder boards caught the light. "Remove the cuffs," she said. The jaw paused. "Ma'am?" The admiral didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. She leaned in until Sarah could smell the salt still hidden in those sleeves. Then she looked at the thin strip of ink and spoke like she was naming a storm. "That tattoo is genuine." Silence snapped like a dry twig. The jaw's mouth went thin. The young one, relief burning his ears, exhaled like a diver breaking surface, and Sarah felt something move under her ribs, the first soft quake of a life that refused to stay buried. "Who are you?" the jaw asked, but the admiral lifted a hand. "Not now," the lights hummed. The mirror began to listen harder. Outside, a door thumped, boots. Then a second thump that came from the wrong direction, not the corridor. The ceiling gave a small, surprised cough. "Down," the admiral said, already moving. The glass spidered. The room learned a new sound. and then the far wall breathed dust as something heavy kissed it from the other side. They moved her fast. A narrow hallway, an elevator that looked like a broom closet and smelled like old steel. The Admiral's hand was steady on Sarah's elbow. Not tender, not rough. Anchoring, they went down. They cut across. They entered a room that had too many computers and no windows. The air hummed. A technician glanced up, then looked down like the sun had peeked in by mistake. Someone fired through the ventilation shaft. The Admiral said, "That was a warning." "It won't be the last." "A warning to who?" Sarah asked. "To everyone who still thinks this is a misunderstanding," the Admiral said. A plain mug warmed Sarah's hands. She wrapped herself around it like heat could erase questions. The Admiral let silence do the untying. It worked. Words came out that had been stored behind her ribs. "I never claimed to be one of you," Sarah said. "I never wore the trident. Not on a collar, not loud. I never claimed anything. I served, I did my part. We all did. And then we didn't." "We know," the Admiral said. She reached for a folder. She didn't open it. "Your watch," she added, nodding at the broken face. "Why keep it?" "It stopped the same minute the safe house fell," Sarah said. "It tells me what every minute since has been for." The Admiral accepted that. "Where did you get the ink?" "Far from any pier," Sarah said. "Under a cheap bulb. Hands that never shook. He used a needle that sang. The names are real. That's the part that matters." The young one entered with 2 coffees he didn't trust himself to carry. He set them down. "I'm Marcus," he said. He didn't offer a hand. He wasn't sure if he was allowed to be human. "Sarah," she said, though the name tasted like a borrowed coat. "Thank you for not keeping your mouth shut," he half grinned. "My specialty." The Admiral finally opened the folder. No photos slid out. The paper itself looked like it wanted to stay classified. 18 months ago," she said. "Operation with a nice name and a bad smell. A safe house. An explosion that knew too much. You die on paper. Your teammates die in truth." Sarah swallowed once. 4 bodies," she said. 4 funerals that were more wind than weight. My trident kept them with me. When strangers drank coffee, they saw a waitress. When I ran along the beach at dawn, I saw the Pacific grapple with the sun. Sometimes it won. "Why didn't you come in?" Marcus asked. He wasn't accusing. He was 12 different versions of curious, all of them careful. "Because I learned a hard thing," Sarah said. "Sometimes the walls breathe with the same lungs as the people you're running from." The Admiral nodded. It wasn't approval. It was acknowledgement. "You had proof then," she said. "Or you thought you did." "I had names," Sarah said. "Dates. Financial trails that curled like smoke toward the wrong roofs. But everything I was holding was made of numbers, and numbers can be introduced to a fire." The Admiral placed a small black rectangle on the table. A drive, not fancy. Not labeled. "And this?" she asked. Sarah met her eyes and for once didn't look away. "That one sang too loudly to carry in from the dust," she said. "But the song has an echo. Encrypted offsite?" the Admiral asked. Sarah nodded once. Marcus leaned back, his chair complaining under a weight of relief. "So it exists," he said. "Your proof." "It exists," Sarah said. "But what you do with it will decide if I stay breathing." The Admiral's mouth went to a line that had been drawn there by decades of necessary wars. "We'll verify," she said. Quietly. "If what you say is true, we have a house to fumigate." A speaker crackled. A voice without a body. "Ma'am, external camera. Black sedan. Tinted. Parked just off the gate." "No tags. Again?" Marcus asked. "They're impatient," the Admiral said. "Impatience leaves fingerprints." Sarah thought of her empty wallet. It sat in a Ziploc on a steel tray now, like it had caught a disease. It told less of a story under bright lights. It exposed nothing but air she breathed in. The room smelled like dust and electricity. Her throat loosened on a choice she had already made. "I'll help," she said. "I'll testify. I'll wear whatever wire you want. But you don't open a door unless you know where it ends." "We're in the same hallway," the Admiral said. Marcus tapped a keyboard. He wasn't fidgeting. He was stitching threads he couldn't see. "We set bait," he said. "We let the fish tell us what it is." Sarah glanced at the broken watch. Still dead. Still speaking. The second hand had frozen between. Markers like it had been caught making a bad decision. "I want one thing," she said. "Name it," the Admiral replied. "Don't call the debt paid." "When the loudest man falls," Sarah said, "there's always someone in the quiet." The Admiral's eyes softened in a way that didn't make her weaker. "Understood," she said. "We start at dawn." Sarah nodded. She pictured a road that ran tan and unpromising through the desert. A shabby motel, a gas station that sold warm soda and cold stares. A dusty road is honest. You can see what it plans to do to your boots. The loudspeaker gave one more tired hiss. "Ma'am, the sedan's rolling." "Follow," the Admiral ordered. Marcus stood. "What about me?" he asked. "You're her shadow," the Admiral said, and the word didn't feel like an insult. Sarah slid the broken watch back on. "Shadows keep time," she said. The Admiral clicked the drive into her palm and closed her fist around it. "And time is running." "Then let's make them chase it," Sarah replied. The light above the door swung once, then twice. The corridor beyond it hummed with motion. The plan was still wet. The ink on it hadn't dried. They stepped through, and a face Sarah hadn't seen in 18 months waited at the end of the hall, smiling like the explosion had been a practical joke and the punchline had finally walked back in. They took the long road out. Not the obvious one guarded by cameras and men who could make the ground tilt with their boots. A road that started as pavement and decided dirt was good enough. The morning had the color of old teeth. Marcus drove like attention was a weapon. The Admiral's convoy peeled away, then reappeared in mirrors when the mesas changed their minds. Sarah watched the side window. The land folded and unfolded. A dusty road is a diary no one tells the truth in. At a rest stop that wasn't resting, Sarah sat on a concrete block and opened the empty wallet. She counted nothing. She checked for a bus ticket stub that wasn't there. The gesture was muscle memory. She needed to do it, to convince her fingers they still belonged to her. Marcus handed her a paper cup. "You look like you sleep with shoes on," he said. "Sometimes I sleep with my eyes open," she answered. "Shakes out to the same thing." He smiled. "I'll log that as a yes." They left track marks that the wind erased. Good roads remember you. Bad roads shrug. The motel ahead had a flickering sign that used to say vacancy and now said can. A paint-peeled door. A vending machine that had collected coins like a dragon and eaten the candy. Inside, Sarah checked the bathroom first. Not for enemies. For the thin sound a cheap fan makes when it knows more than it should. No wire. No bug. Only a web in the corner that had earned its quiet. They wired her anyway. Marcus did it without touching more than necessary. His fingers were clumsy on purpose, which she respected. "You're bait," he said, trying to make the word neutral. "I'm det," she said. "I know how to sit on a hook and wait." The plan was simple enough to fail well. An accidental email, a loose reference, a mention that a certain tattoo had been recognized, that a certain dead woman had walked into a room with an admiral and then walked out again. The kind of mistake people kill to correct. Midday, the desert forgot what cool meant. Heat pinned the horizon down with both hands. A black SUV dusted the lot, then idled, then left. A fly traced the rim of the paper cup and decided it had loved her coffee more. Marcus's voice came over the wire like a faraway lighthouse. "2 vehicles, 10 out," he said. "No plates. You'll hear the second one first." "I always do," she said. She took the broken watch off and set it face up on the dresser. Let the stop time watch her. Let it be a witness. The watch had seen what she had seen. It had chosen the right minute to die. The first knock was patient. The second knock was entitled. She opened the door between them. The man in the hall looked like money that had bought itself a conscience and returned it for store credit. Gray hair, sharp part, the eyes of someone who outsourced his emotions to another department. Beside him, a woman you wouldn't notice twice if you wanted to live long. That was the point. "Sarah," the man said. He said it as if the name belonged to him. "We've been driving a while." "You took the scenic route," she said. "The cactus is lovely this time of apocalypse." He almost smiled. "Let's not do the performance. You were supposed to be chalk by now." Then an admiral leaned in and the chalk stood up. "What do you want?" she asked. "Insurance," he said. "We heard you have some." She let him walk 2 steps into the room, not 3. The woman took a third without being invited. Sarah watched the angle of her shoulders, the slight cant of the hip holster. The tools announce themselves if you listen to their owners breathe. I don't owe you, Sarah said. You owe everyone, he replied. That's the problem with people who pretend to die. They leave invoices behind. He reached for the dresser. He picked up the broken watch. He frowned at it. Why keep a dead thing? He asked. So I don't forget what killed it, she said. We can offer protection, he went on. We can offer money. We can offer… I had a wallet once, she cut in. It was empty, it still is. Nothing you put in it would make it weigh less. He studied her. The quiet beside him studied the mirror, then the vent, then the bed frame screws. Professionals measure rooms without looking down. Marcus whispered in her ear. Hold. Third vehicle. Now. The gray man's eyes found the small bulge under Sarah's collar. He tilted his head. You'll want to shut that off, he said, before the wrong ears gather. I like the right ears better, she said. He sighed. We were trying to do this without noise. He nodded to the woman. The woman's hand moved. Sarah didn't reach for a weapon. She reached for the watch. She flicked it into the woman's line of sight. Why? The woman asked, despite herself. That second hand, Sarah said. It's between markers halfway. The blast took the rest. The gray man's mouth tightened. You're sentimental. No, Sarah said. I'm accurate. The door behind the door opened, not the one the hallway knew. The one the motel used when it wanted to vanish a guest without paperwork. Two shadows filled it. They had base haircuts and civilian shoes. Their eyes were wrong. Marcus said, We're a minute out, like a wish. The gray man lifted a palm. No guns, he told his own shadows. Let's not stain this carpet. The owners are old. Sarah blinked once. The woman with him blinked 0 times. That told Sarah everything she needed to know about who would pull a trigger if the gray man changed his mind. Insurance, he repeated. Where is it? Out where the road forgets its own name, Sarah said. It remembers faster if you make it bleed. You always speak in riddles? He asked. Only to people who hire the blast, she said. Shoes scraped the walkway outside. Heavy, training heavy. A knock came from a door that wasn't hers. A code knock. Then the pop of a lock taught to open for the wrong key. The gray man smiled. Your friends are sloppy, he said. They're not my friends, Sarah said. He gestured with the watch. Then we'll take you, he said simply. Where? She asked. Where time stopped for you, he said. Marcus breathed in her ear. I need 10 seconds. The gray man stepped forward and held the broken watch. Up between them, its face filling the space where fear would have been if she had let it. His whisper was a dry leaf on stone. Or we can finish stopping it, he said. Footsteps thundered. The doorframe stiffened like an animal that knows the trap already closed. Sarah looked past the watch, past the gun that wasn't out yet, past the woman with the quiet breath. She stared at the gray man so he'd look back at only her. Then she said the one name that would make him move his eyes. He did, and when he looked back, the muzzle was already pressed against his ribs. No one fired. The silence had sharp edges. Marcus came through the door like a mistake someone else had made. 2 other plainclothes behind him were the type who could fold a human without leaving creases. Hands, Marcus said. Slow. The gray man lifted his free hand. He didn't drop the broken watch. He held it up like a priest holds a wafer. The woman beside him tilted her wrist and a blade decided to show its face to the room. Don't, Sarah said. Not a plea. Not a threat. A fact with heat in it. The 2 shadows in the hidden door tried to be clever and move sideways. They hit resolve instead of air. The plainclothes with Marcus weren't poets. They wrote endings. We can talk, the gray man said, already calculating his second life. We can explain. Explain it to the names, Sarah said, and she tapped the ink under her collar with 2 fingers. Soft. They're listening. He looked at the tattoo. He looked at what it did to her posture. "You carry ghosts," he said. "I carry debt," she answered. "Ghosts know how to walk on their own." Marcus reached for the watch. Sarah took it back before he could. She slid it into her pocket like reloading memory. His eyes asked a question. She didn't answer. Not with words. "Why her?" Marcus asked the gray man. "Why now?" The gray man almost shrugged. "Because she stayed alive long enough to be inconvenient," he said. "Because someone on your side needed her to stay gone and didn't get his wish." "Names," Marcus said. "Give me one before I decide you don't get to have one," the woman whispered, finally using air. "Careful," she said. "We aren't the only ones in the room you can't see." Marcus's jaw went tense. He didn't look at Sarah. "We leave, we take them. We talk where talking doesn't echo," he said. Sarah nodded. They moved in a clump that pretended to be orderly. The parking lot shrank the instant they stepped into it. The heat made the horizon wobble like a lie. They got 2 cars loaded. They pulled out. They took the road that the map hadn't forgiven. Dust followed. At mile marker where the scrub turns to wire, an old billboard sagged. The paint was ghosts. A farm. A smile. A promise of fruit that never grew here. There were bullet holes. They had pattern if you cared to count. Sarah counted. She saw the pattern. "Stop," she said. Marcus slowed. He looked at the board. He looked at her. He trusted the kind of math you do with scars. "In there," she said. "Dead space behind it. They'll use it to stage." He pulled the car forward, using the billboard as a shield.